The antique shop wasn't supposed to exist. I'd walked down Maple Street hundreds of times in the past 3 years, but silvered memories had appeared overnight, nestled between the bakery and the bookstore like it had always belonged there. The proprietor was a thin man with prematurely white hair, his fingers stained with what looked like mercury. When I pushed open the door, a bell chimed with a sound that seemed to echo longer than physics should allow. "Mirrors," he said before I could speak. "That's what brings them in, everyone thinks. They know their own reflection." The shop was cramped, every surface covered with mirrors of different sizes and ages. Some were ornate, others simple, but all seemed to hold shadows, even in the bright afternoon light filtering through the windows. "I'm just browsing," I said, but my eyes were already drawn to an oval mirror with an elaborate silver frame. Something about it felt familiar, like a half-remembered dream. "That one's special," the man said, appearing beside me with unsettling silence. "Shows you what you really are, what you could have been, what you will be." I should have left then, should have walked out and never looked back. Instead, I found myself asking, "How much? For you? Free. First customer of the day gets a gift." His smile revealed teeth that were too white, too perfect. "Consider it an investment in possibilities." Against every instinct screaming in my head, I accepted. The mirror was surprisingly light as I carried it home to my apartment, though the proprietor's laughter followed me down the street far longer than it should have. That night, I hung the mirror in my bedroom, directly across from my bed. The first thing I noticed was how clear the reflection was, clearer than any mirror I'd ever owned. Every detail of my face was sharp, defined, almost hyper-real. The second thing I noticed was that my reflection blinked a half-second after I did. I convinced myself it was fatigue, eye strain from too many late nights grading papers. But over the next few days, the delay became more pronounced. My reflection would lag behind my movements, sometimes continuing to smile after I'd stopped, sometimes frowning when I was perfectly content. On the fourth, I caught my reflection moving when I wasn't. I was lying in bed reading when movement in the mirror drew my attention. My reflection was sitting up, looking directly at me with an expression I'd never seen on my own face. Calculating, predatory. "Finally," it said. Its voice exactly like mine, but with an inflection that made my skin crawl. "I was wondering when you'd notice." I dropped my book, scrambling backward until I hit the headboard. The reflection didn't mirror my panic. Instead, it stood up, walking to the edge of the mirror as if approaching a window. "Don't be afraid," it said, pressing its palm against the glass from the inside. "We're the same person. Sort of. This isn't real," I whispered. "Stress, hallucination, something." "Oh, it's real," my reflection assured me. "I'm you from the universe next door, the place where you made different choices, better choices." I stared at my own face, looking back at me, noting subtle differences now that I was paying attention. This version of me was more confident, shoulders straighter, eyes brighter. Even my hair looked better. "What do you want?" I managed to ask. "To trade places," it said simply. "Your life is so much easier than mine. Less complicated, fewer consequences." "What consequences?" My reflection's smile faltered slightly. "In my world, I took risks, pursued dreams, made bold moves. It didn't always work out." It gestured vaguely. "There were incidents. People got hurt. Decisions had to be made." Something cold settled in my stomach. "What kind of decisions?" "The kind that keep you awake at night," it replied. "The kind that make you wonder if you're really a good person or just someone who's never been tested." I was beginning to understand why this version of me wanted to escape. "I can't let you out," I said, though I wasn't sure how I could stop it even if it tried. You don't have to let me out, my reflection said with that unsettling smile. Mirrors are doorways, not prisons. The shop owner didn't tell you that part, did he? Before I could respond, my reflection pressed both hands against the glass. The mirror began to ripple like water, the surface becoming fluid, permeable. All you have to do is touch the glass, it said, its voice now coming from everywhere at once. One touch and we can switch. I get your quiet life, your clean conscience. You get my confidence, my success, my experiences. I don't want your experiences, I said, but I was already standing, drawn toward the mirror despite my fear. Are you My reflection stepped back, gesturing to something behind it that I couldn't see. Look at what you could have. The mirror's surface cleared, and I saw myself in what looked like a penthouse apartment. Expensive furniture, awards on the walls, a view of the city that must have cost millions. This other me was surrounded by people laughing, confident, clearly successful. I'm a best-selling author in my world, my reflection explained. Famous, wealthy, everything you ever dreamed of being. It was everything I'd wanted, the life I'd imagined when I first decided to become a writer, before years of rejection letters and day jobs had worn down my ambitions. What's the catch? I asked, though I was already reaching toward the glass. No catch, my reflection said quickly. Don't look too closely at the books I've written. Some stories are better left unread. My fingertip touched the mirror's surface, and immediately the glass rippled outward from the point of contact. I felt a pulling sensation, as if the mirror was trying to draw me through. That's it, my reflection encouraged. Just a little more. But something in its tone made me hesitate. In the background of the penthouse scene, I caught a glimpse of newspaper headlines plastered on the wall. Not awards, but articles. Missing persons reports. Police investigations. What are those? I demanded, pulling my hand back. My reflection's face darkened. Research. Every good writer needs to research their craft. Research for what? Crime novels, it said. But its voice lacked conviction. Very detailed crime novels. The mirror began showing me more. Photos of people I didn't recognize. Detailed maps. What looked like surveillance notes. And in the corner of the room, barely visible, a stack of what appeared to be driver's licenses. You're not a writer, I breathed. I'm exactly what you would have become if you'd had the courage to take what you wanted, my reflection snarled. All pretense of friendliness gone. If you'd stopped being weak, stopped accepting failure. You're a killer. I'm successful, it corrected. I found a way to make writing profitable. True crime is very popular when you have access to exclusive details. Horror washed over me as I understood. This version of me hadn't become a famous writer through talent or hard work. It had created its own source material. Let me through, my reflection demanded, pressing against the glass so hard that cracks began to appear. I'm tired of running, tired of looking over my shoulder. Your life is perfect, boring, mediocre but clean. The mirror was beginning to crack, spiderweb fractures spreading from where my reflection's hands pressed against it. I need a place to hide, it continued, and you need a life worth living. We both win. No, I said, backing away from the mirror. I won't let you hurt people. You already are me, my reflection screamed. And I realized it was right. Same face, same voice, same thoughts, just different choices. The only difference is that I had the strength to act on our darkest impulses. The mirror shattered. Glass exploded outward, and for a moment, I saw my reflection step through the empty frame into my room. But as the shards hit the floor, they reflected dozens of images, other versions of me from other universes, each one slightly different, each one watching with expressions ranging from pity to hunger. My killer reflection looked around in confusion. This wasn't supposed to happen. The mirror was meant to be a bridge between two worlds. It never finished the sentence. The other reflections in the glass shards began pulling it apart, each taking a piece, claiming their own version of our shared identity. My reflection screamed as it was torn between possibilities, its form stretching and distorting until I was alone in my bedroom, surrounded by broken glass and silence. The next morning I found Silvered Memories was gone. Where it had stood was just an empty lot, as if the shop had never existed at all. The only evidence of my experience was the broken mirror in my room, and the dreams that started that night. Dreams of the other versions of me. I'd glimpsed in the shards the successful lawyer who'd won cases through blackmail, the teacher who'd gotten too close to students, the lover who'd never learned to let go. Every night I see them in my dreams, and every morning I wake up grateful to be the boring, mediocre version of myself, because I've seen what I could have become, and some possibilities are too terrible to pursue. The antique shop may be gone, but sometimes late at night, I catch glimpses of movement in any reflective surface, windows, phone screens, even puddles on the street. Other versions of me, watching, waiting for their chance to trade places. I've learned to avoid mirrors altogether now, because I know the truth that the shop owner never told me. Every reflection is a doorway, and somewhere on the other side there's always another version of yourself wondering what it would be like to be you, and some of them are willing to do anything to find out.